Alright, hey there. This is going to be my first attempt at creating a board game and videoing it the whole time. It's going to be kind of interesting. It's kind of like a dev blog, kind of like a creative experiment. Today, some people have been posting about how the Smithsonian has released all of this Creative Commons artwork, and what I've done is I've gone and gotten a whole bunch of the portraits so that we could make a kind of character-driven kind of a game. It's probably going to be an 18 card game. It's like my wheelhouse. But the idea is that in this video, I'm going to build the whole thing from start to finish, and all I have to start with is these few portraits. Now, let's move that out of the way. First thing I'm going to do is open up the Photoshop. What I want to do is create a poker-sized card, which is a 25 by 1125, which has a 75 pixel bleed on each side. Thanks to the Game Crafter for teaching me that one. What I actually wanted to do first is try and turn each of these pictures into two different layers. And the way that I want to do that, I might just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so it's just the top of his head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fancy lasso. I'm going to try and cut him out here, just kind of roughly. So when I was building the prototype for Murders at Tearwoods Manor, what I did was I cut out each character so that I could put in like an icon behind them. For example, if it was your goal to try and have this person killed, I would set it so that they would have this big skull behind them and it would be super ominous. And it looked really clean too, the way that I did it. This I'm just like really... I usually use magnetic lasso, but like I'm trying to not just sit around and make you watch me cut things out for an hour and a half. So grab this cigar. This guy's got a fantastic mustache. Let's try and not lose some of the shape of that. That's a bit tricky to get correct. I hope I did that justice, but it's not a big deal. Okay, neck. Almost done. Okay, get down shoulders like this. And it kind of vanishes down here somewhere. Alright, let me connect it up. Then we want to go... I don't have a layer selected. Okay. Layer by cut, right? So I can remove the whole background if I wish. Now, if I add it back as another layer, it's in a slightly different spot, which is really annoying. And I put them over each other and have the same background, but I can like move him around for however I want, right? So I probably want to align it so it's back like this. I'm gonna close this guy, so now I just have the fresh one. Now I'm gonna grab the clone stamp. I'm gonna make the sample size a bit bigger. Okay, I'm gonna try and just erase him from it. Right, so trying to get some similar, move some of his hair around. Try and get some similar looking stuff. And the thing about the clone stamp is that it will duplicate a lot of the brush strokes, so it will look pretty organic. But having the exact same background duplicated, I'll probably get a bit lighter. Yeah. Means that the shoddy cutting out job that I did shouldn't show up that badly. God damn it. Extra eyeball. The problem with the clone stamp is you can't run over spots that you're working on. You have to keep re-picking a new spot. It's a little bit dark. It must be a bit lighter around here. So this is just pretty messy. I'm not doing anything too crazy good looking or whatever. The idea is just to get it looking slightly different than just the default, right? And if I have two layers now, so like for example, you can see it now, you don't notice as much how I've cut it out. It looks pretty clean. And the background behind it sits pretty well. So I can put stuff behind him if I really want. I might go just quickly erase this stuff. That doesn't look too out of place, right? And it's a bit darker. It's more like this down here, right? Let's pull some of that. If I do it near the edge, it will like draw a line where the edge is supposed to be, which is not super ideal, but I kind of blend it a little bit so it doesn't look like a weird awkward shadow or something. Who knows? Now at this point I'm really just mucking around. But now I have my foreground, I have my background, and the background still looks like a painting, which is fantastic. I can get rid of this that I've done, and then now I have the option to put other stuff into it if I wish. So that means if I want to, if I want to, in Murders of Tilwood's Manor, put a big skull behind him. I was like, royalty free, show me a skull. I put that behind it. I might grab, do I have that handy? I should. Throw it in there just so we can see what it looks like. I had to cut it out every time. I don't think I saved the cutout. I did not. But this is the one that I used. Let's just make it a bit bigger, right? I'm just gonna lazily magic wand everything, and then we have to do it a second time. That's okay. All right. And if I put that behind his head, then I can build this effect. Now this really shows our shoddy cutting job. But that's okay. That's just an example of what I did for the other game. I don't think I want to do that for this one. But that's our first guy. Now that means that we can either use that background for everyone and make it consistent. We don't have to do that. I'm just looking at the portraits again because we have a couple different ones in background color. This one was the most green looking. The other ones are mostly paler colors. So the next thing, now that we've got our foreground background, what I might do is actually just bring that up to the edge. That white line is probably bugging you more than it's bugging me. So let's just grab some of that black. Because that's probably wherever the title's gonna be. So let's make some zones for stuff. So we're gonna go make a new guide, 75 pixels. New guide is on this side, 75 pixels. So this is the cut lines, basically. This is 1050. No, it's the wrong side. The horizontal one is 1050. My mistake. And then 750. So I don't want to put anything outside here, and I can actually move him over to be a bit better centered in that case, because he is right justified. And then I can make a title box, which would be 150. No, that's the wrong one again. I really need to stop doing that. So I now have a 75 pixel high box. Now I can make a border here, so I might look for, let's go onto a royalty free site. I'm looking for vectors. I want patterns. Patterns. So this is slightly better. So we're gonna go. I'm not gonna let you see me googling stuff because it's just gonna be a bit awkward. You can see the 1 million bookmarks that I've got. It's actually kind of cool. Alright, so I'm just using some generic stuff, but this is this cool thing that I found, right? It's also painted, but I might make it go this way. If I bring it up, because I want to get rid of some of that corner stuff. focus on the glitter, right? Maybe like this. Right, it's not supposed to be perfect, it's just supposed to be something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cut lines to... Actually, no, I want the border to be slightly inner than that. Because otherwise the cut lines just cut off the border and then you see the printer drift and it's not that great. So let's make it 10 pixels on each side, so it's going to come to here. So we're going to go 85. So this is going to be 1040. It's really small actually. Let's go 30 pixels. So that'll be 180. Yeah, okay. Like the guy's head is really big. And I need to make a text box like down here somewhere too. That's 1020. Then I need it to be 105. Then I need to make it 750 here, so it'll be 725. Yeah, nailed it. I am good at maths. Also, I claim. Alright, so now if I delete this middle panel out, we've got this big, colourful border now. We've got our space here, which will be the title plate, and then I can add a text box in. But what I'm going to do is just put the text over the person, because if all of the different arts, if we have a look at them, have this negative space in the bottom half. With the exception of Matthew Pratt and George Henry Durry, who've got an arm, and Benjamin West, who've got an arm there, there's actually a lot of nothing that we can kind of go with. If we use a drop shadow, running over the arm is probably fine. Even cut out the arm, make it run slightly above that. That's my browser. Wouldn't be so bad. I know this kind of looks like a mess at the moment, but I'm probably having just this, but knowing what the bounds are is probably fine. But I've drawn the border that we want, and this is going to be the text box. It's been decided. So these are all of our bounds now. So we've got title area. The outermost boxes are the bleed, and where it's going to be cut. It's our text box, and then this is like the no man's area. We've got our person, which is right in the center of the art box, and I can like move them up and down if I can, like, you know, get really funky with this because I have a bit of free reign here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it too, which is handy. And cutting him out this way wasn't that difficult. I think it gave us a bit of freedom. So this person, and I want to pick a font. I'll use my font that I use for everything, which is hard to find, apparently. There it is. Apparently it's not alphabetized. So I'm going to be using the actual names of the people in the art. That's probably the right size. It's in white for now. Probably go a bit bigger. Probably go 85. Yeah, look at that. I don't know that needs a drop shadow. Is that going to really be noticeable? Probably not. Okay. So we have one of our characters who's named. The art's kind of done. We've discovered the bounds. Now we need to figure out what the game actually has. You know, so that's supposed to be 15 minutes of your time playing the picture. So initially I was thinking, because we have a bunch of characters, we could do something love letter-ish. You hold stuff in hand, they do things when they're played. We could be set collecting. That means we'd be going above, because because we have 11 different characters. Set collecting means that you'd have 2 of each and 3 of some, which is not great. It's not easily divisible. From memory, Love Letter has like 7 different characters, and then the expansion adds 2 more. We've got 4 more than that, so we could do like 6 characters that have doubles and then like just more singleton characters than Love Letter does, because they've got 4 that show up once from memory. It's been a while since I played this game. So if we start off with that, have 2 cards in your hand while you're interacting with people, and then you're drawing and playing cards as you go. So either drawing up to 2 or drawing up to 3. Playing a card as you go. We need to figure out what these people do when you play them, what kind of information that you can earn in the game, how you interact with the other players, what the goal is. So we could go more towards an art theme. We could have it so that it's more about what the people are doing themselves. In Love Letter, there's the existing understanding of how the monarchy works, and everyone kind of has an idea of what the king and the queen's position is, and then how it tiers down. Like a handmaid is pretty low, and the guard is at the bottom, the way that they've done it. And because all the different pieces of art that we have, everyone's kind of a nobleman in some respect. They have enough money to get their portrait done, which at the time, this is all from the 1800s. It's kind of a deal, kind of a big deal. So we could be using that all in the same way. It could be they're all competing for a claim on something. It could be like a King of the Hill type thing, which could be interesting. It could be a deal-making game, which automatically implies that you have more than 2 players. I'm kind of interested in a King of the Hill aspect of it. You could build a track where you're pushing, like a tug of war, where you're pushing up, we're pushing down, based on what you want, which could be really interesting. One of the games I just finished working on before, which has been Falls of the Dusk, every single card, and there's 54 of them, has a unique point scoring condition, which could be interesting. I could do that for this because there's only 11 of them, but it wouldn't be, like, I would need 7 more for it to be an 18 card game where all of the cards have unique win conditions. So I don't think I'm going to do. I think I want to do something tug of war-ish, where it's kind of like a negotiation. You're trying to get to somewhere, and the different characters determine where you want to get. So I think we should determine 2 factions. That should be the first thing that we do. Probably a red and probably a blue one. And the way that we can do that is if we grab this background layer and we can like actually shift it. It's a bit more green. It's a bit more blue, a bit less obvious. I think I want to raise the brightness to make it show a bit more. See, he still doesn't look like too terribly cut out like that. So red and blue, I found like the most easiest way to split up 2 teams. So that's background is really not colorful enough for me to make it very obviously one color. I get a really good green out of it because it's already pretty green. Yellow green here. Let's leave that for now. But we're gonna make a red and a blue team. And so at this point I'm gonna open up a text document and take some notes. So the game. Alright, let's open this up. I'm gonna bring it over here so that you can see it. Make sure that you can see it, yeah. Okay, so generic notes. First of all, we're going for a tug of war kind of thing. I don't know how to make the font size any bigger on that. Can I like zoom in 100 times? Control plus. Yeah, make it huge so that you can read too. Alright, so we want something to do with tug of war, which is going to use some kind of a scale. some kind of a scale. So we want a track with 2 distinct ends, and I'll make one later. And then we want 2 distinct teams. So if this is about a negotiation, we could put a situation that would come up, and it could be like a business deal or something. In which case we could have the track as like a dollar amount. So like one end is like they sell it for lots and lots of money, and the people that are current purchase holders, let's say they're the red team. Red team's trying to sell it for a lot of money, therefore they want it really up there. The blue team is the purchasing team, maybe, and they want to buy it for a really low amount of money or whatever, right? And then each time you play a card, gives you information about what's going on. And there could be lots of different people, and you're not really sure who's on what team or whatever. That's like really, really social deduction heavy. I want it to be more. I want the 2 different teams to not necessarily be I'm red, you're blue, but to be more like the different outcomes for different characters. But in making it social deduction, it would be really easy to say this is a blue card at the start, pick a card from your hand, you're on that team. Which could be good. This could just be a negotiation game where it's a lot less about trying to figure out what team your opponent's on. It could be a drafting game where you draft teams, and then we add a lot of people. We add up to 11 players, and we say, all right, here's like 1 red card, 1 blue card. Pick one, which one of these is red and which one's blue. Okay, you got the blue card. Now draft your players onto your team. Like we're playing kickball in 3rd grade, which could also be something. So I'm just gonna put like split here in question mark. I'm gonna go red/blue. And let's go the 2 outcomes, which are going to be purchasee. The track is like in dollar increments, incrememes. Yeah, dollar incrememes. And then that's like a good start, right? And that means I have to design a track later on. But then we need to know what kind of stuff. Like, okay, so we need to know how we're going to interact with the track. So there's going to be characters that can move the track up and down. We need to know if there's going to be characters that interact with people's team. What the different characters do, how he interacts with the different characters, what the importance of the different characters are, what the roles of the different characters are. So if all the characters are businessmen, and unfortunately I don't have a super diverse range of characters, I just picked what the top 11 portraits were that were painted close enough to this style, and they're all kind of like rich white dudes. And it's like we can kind of lean into that as well. So if they're all businessmen and they're all in some kind of a bidding war, it could be an auction game even, which means we need to have some kind of a currency, which could be interesting. I do like that. So I'm going to pull up some art resources that I have handy. I think it's in here. I have a bunch of dice icons. I do. Okay, so if you have a look, this is what I'm looking at the moment. This is a whole bunch. I have a huge art resources folder of art that I've gotten from Humble Bundle and art that I've gotten from other places that I use when I'm building prototypes, so that it's not just pen on paper. And these particular dice are by a buddy of mine, Kai Rule, who put them up on his Patreon. And these are actually really good. I've been using these dice for all the stuff that I've made recently, including Wingfalls of the Dusk, which is my latest one, in this type. And I'm thinking if it's going to be some kind of an auction thing, that each character is going to have some kind of a dice amount, and then the face of the dice is how much money they have to spend on it or whatever, right? Maybe you're trying to hire a team and they cost stuff. You can be drafting from a center pool. You don't actually have anything. That sounds slightly interesting. That does sound slightly interesting. Let's try that. So let's come back to our notes, right? So we go, each character has a dice value to hire, right? And then we're going to scale that based on how strong they are. So if they like win the game, it's going to cost a lot or whatever, right? Each character provides potentially extra dice to roll for income. And then if you have income, you can spend it on moving the track, or you can spend it on, maybe we're funding a war. That seems much more like, I'm spending money on troops to push the battlefront forward, right? It's like combatless war. It's like arms erase money war, maybe. Which is kind of cool. I don't hate that. So that means that the track has to track incrementally. I hate that word. By number of troops committed to the conflict, right? So I get the guy. I have like a certain amount of dice that I roll to start with, which determines my income. I'm a warlord of some kind, and then I get to roll those dice, and I can hire these people that are depicted in the portraits, who are arms dealers or whatever, who then provide me with more money or other benefits, or I can spend the stuff that I roll with the dice to move the track forwards, right? So, which costs dice to move forwards. So this is much more like a two-player skirmish game now, where all the characters are available in like a shop front. You have a dice that you start off with, you're rolling, I got a 6, I buy the dude worth 6, or I buy 2 dice worth 3, or whatever, how I want to do it. Or I like buy 6 lots of troops that I move the tug of war forward, or like away from the center, probably. And then my opponent has their turn, they decide to not buy a dude, move their track further, whatever, right? And you're trying to get the track all the way to one end, probably. And the value of the track probably scales. It's not just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's probably like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, or whatever, right? And the value of the victory condition of one complete end has to be maybe 4 times the greatest number you could roll. So probably like 20 or more. This is actually a pretty good start, right? So Frank Duveneck is going to be our first. I know nothing about this guy. I didn't actually look up any of the characters. I literally downloaded the images before I started recording this. And so we're going to come back here, but I'm going to move it out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And so we've got 2 different ones, and they don't have the white background that you see. I'm going to put it on his face so you can have a look at it for right now. We're going to use 2 different icons. The first one is the number of dice that this person provides for you to roll, which is going to go down here in the bottom corner. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And then make it visible, probably. What I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly get rid of this. I'm going to organize this into groups quickly so I can tidy things up. Characters. I don't need this anymore. And then this is going to be dice. I'm going to have probably 2 different folders for dice, but what I do want to do is get the rectangle tool. I'm going to hide this guy, and I'll make a rectangle. I'm just going to make a really big one. Put it under this. Rasterize the layer, because I can't see it unless it's got that white backing, right? And I'm just going to array. Oops. No. Okay. I rasterize it. I need to make this a smart object and then rasterize it. And then I just delete everything around it. No. Like picked an awkward way to do it. But with the background now it's better. Yeah, there we go. So let's just clean this out, and now you can see he provides, oops, he provides +1 dice when rolling for whatever, right? You can't really see the black outline for that. Yeah, that's okay. But now we need to determine a cost. Frank, who gives us +1 dice, needs to cost something. So let's say he costs 2, right? And this 2 is going to fit up in this corner somewhat. Like this. 75 by 75. Cool. I'm going to copy this rectangle. So from now on, whenever I'm going to have to re-erase that, but that's okay. Whenever I add in a new number for any of the other characters, the white box will be there behind it, because I'm not going to make it attached to the, why is that? Alright, I'm going to zoom in and do this because this is kind of annoying. Make the eraser slightly smaller. There we go. And then I'm just going to size all of the other numbers to match, right? So, and then in the rulebook, I'll have like a copy of the card and I'll say this icon means this. But it's pretty universal. Anyone that's played Magic the Gathering or any of its derivatives. But the top right is that this is the cost that I pay to make this happen. And anything down at the bottom in the text box is what this guy does. So all that Frank is going to do for us is give us +1 dice. He's going to be the standard upon which we operate. So I'm going to save that. I need to go a roundabout way to find this thing. I made a folder called Portraits. Let's make a new folder called Cards. And this is going to be Frank Dunek. Okay, he's not getting capitalized apparently. I want to go back and fix it. Okay, so this is our first card, alright? And then we want to go and do our next one. I didn't keep a folder open for portraits. Okay. Alright. So close the dice folder. Make the name go away. Make this go away for now. Next person is Benjamin West. Now he's a bit smaller. I want it to be like this. Maybe not have his hat cover so much of it. Alright. Now, do I need to cut him out? Maybe. Maybe I need to cut him out. And then I can give everyone Frank's background. Who can't I cut out? Eastman Johnson looks relatively difficult, but it's probably fine. Let's not. I don't think I need to universalize the backgrounds with this because I'm not making red team, blue team anymore. Let's go remove that from the spec. So, 2 distinctive ends, 2 distinctive teams, which is just 2 different players. Oops. So 2 different players. A battlefront. Moving forwards and back. Dice pips are money. Okay, whatever. Instead they're arms dealers of some sort. Except it's like bayonets and knives or whatever. Pitchforks. Okay. So now we have to come over here and we go Benjamin West. Benjamin West. Now we're gonna make this is a 3. The 3 is gonna come over here. Whoop. No, in the corner. Yep. And then bring this up so it's 75. Okay, that needs to actually go place. And then that needs to go here. No. this one. Okay, so now he costs 3. He also adds a dice, apparently, because I haven't changed that yet. But I want him to have an extra effect. So let's make it so that you can bin something from the shop. We're going to make a new group for that. Let's make this smaller. 60. The layer's underneath the art, so it won't show up. Okay, let's bring this out. Yep, there we go. Text box stuff. So I keep these separate, and when I click on something and make a new text file, it automatically picks that font and size. So if I'm picking names, I click on this and I write their name, it's going to be the same. And then if I click on this box and then I do it, it's the same. It's like a lot quicker. Choose a, and then this is where I need to make a keyword that means all of the character cards. Probably characters, fine. Probably character. It's a bit vague. I don't know if I want to call them arms dealers as the keyword. I don't like the 2 words. Maybe a warlord. Seems probably better. Choose a warlord in the shop. Is that going to fit? Yep. And shuffle it into the deck. So now we have a central deck which holds all of our warlords. Which is something. Now we've got our first character that has a text effect. That doesn't look too unreadable. I don't know if I probably do want to drop shadowed stuff in the text box. That's already better and it's pretty minor. Okay. So let's, come on. I want to remove the drop shadow. There we go. Turn it off? No. Whatever. I'll do them all individually then. If you add drop shadow or an effect to a group, it does it to everything in the group. That's why I usually do that. And I put it on that one just to test it. I don't really want to have to change the whole thing. So this is Benjamin West. We're going to save him in the cards. Yeah. When you're ready. Okay. That's 2 of our cards done. So let's hide this guy. I really don't need the background. Let's grab our next portrait, which is Eastman Johnson. Now, Eastman Johnson is probably the most difficult one because he's the only one standing up like this. Let's try and get him more into the frame. Doesn't look too bad. Okay, put him back in the characters box. Then we want to go to title, change the title to Eastman Johnson. Make sure that's aligned in the corner. Hide this because it doesn't have the same text. We're going to make him cost 3 as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some along the line, so I go all the way up to 6. And then try and define what's really powerful for 6 and what's not, right? And then go back and like fill in the gaps, because ideally it should be really heavy at the bottom and then like really narrow at the top. It should be like one 6 card. And I haven't chosen how they're going to be distributed yet, but I know there's going to be 18 cards. So there's probably going to be duplicates of stuff that's cheap. So Frank Duvenek's probably going to have 3 copies, right? Which is something. Now, I think the higher end stuff shouldn't add extra dice to your pool and have a really strong effect, or you'll have one that costs like 5 and adds 2 dice, right? So Eastman Johnson could be that guy for us. So that's portraits. Let's go here. Let's get this one. Yes. Let's grab the 5. Let's put it into the corner. Not quite. Yeah. And then we drag it down so that it's 75 by 75, and then that's identical to the others. See the overlap. All right. But this one, how much rectangle is that? This rectangle. So this and this. I'm gonna make copies and move over one. So that doesn't look like it's in line. I'm just gonna bring down a guide just for this. Okay, I'm gonna remove the guide. I'm gonna move this way out of the way so I can actually get it on the right spot because it snaps to the other one. Put it here and move them back like this. I can put that away so it's even. Okay, Eastman Johnson adds 2 dice to your pool. So I'm assuming when you draft Warlords, you're building a tableau of people in front of you, and they either have a single effect. Actually, let's go back and have a look at how I worded Benjamin West. So Benjamin West says choose a Warlord in the shop and shuffle it into the deck. So I need to define when this effect happens, right? So that could be all these effects automatically happen when you draft a card. And then I could have other ones that specify discard this to do something, right? But each character is going to determine how many dice you have to throw down. And because a lot of them are adding 1 dice and 2 dice, you're going to get maybe rolling 10 dice. It's going to be shadow running. You're rolling 10 dice trying to get something to happen, which means at the end of the track needs to be like 60 or so, right? And you're like trying to spend all your money without having coins to track it. It's a huge game. It's 18 cards and a board and 10 dice or something. But yeah, we actually could make it so that everyone starts with a Frank, and then your dice pool is equal to the characters that you have in your tableau. So let's go back to the brief. So we're gonna go players build a tableau using Warlords. Each dice in the bottom right is their budget, pretty much. Each turn, each player starts the game with 1 Frank Juvenek. So each player starts with 1 dice in the dice pool. What this does mean is that if the most expensive thing costs 6, and we're making up to $60, then you're buying everything in the shop, which could get a little out of control pretty quickly. So we want to find a way to cap that, or remove dice from your opponent. So now we have our next mechanic, which is a take that effect. Save this. I have not saved Eastman Johnson. Okay, let's save. Oops, that's the whole thing. Well, let's do that for now. Portraits for now. Yeah. What I want to do is I want to save it as a card. Eastman Johnson. JPEG. Okay. So if we have a look at our cards so far, let's go extra large icons. We have Benjamin West, Eastman Johnson, Frank Juvenek. And each player is going to start with the Frank Juvenek, so it needs to be at least 2. At least 2 in the game, and probably a lot. Probably 5, right? Is probably going to be the most common one. So there's then 3 in the shop for you to find. Let's put this away for now. Get back to the portraits. Put Eastman Johnson away. And now we want something that removes Warlords from your opponent's tableau. So let's come back down here. Let's get rid of Eastman Johnson. And the next guy is George Fuller. Hello, George. Let's get you into position. Alright, so then get his tile in. This is George Fuller, looking over at where it's written so I get it correct. And then we come over here and we're going to go add the effect. The effect is going to be choose a Warlord from your opponent's tableau. The tableau should be called a war room. Let's do that. Your opponent's war room. Let me Google how to spell war room real quick. It's 2 words, according to Google. Probably no hyphen. Choose a warlord from your opponent's war room and shuffle. It needs to be on a new line. I'm probably going to change the font size for this. It's not going to fit. It's coming down to 48. Move it back up to the corner and shuffle it into the deck. Full stop. We're not going to have. Oops, that's the purchase one. We're not going to have this. We now got George Fuller. He's not going to provide. I mean, yes, this goes well. He's going to cost 5. This one, this one. There we go. He's going to cost 5. He's going to remove one of your opponent's guys, but he's not going to provide dice. So he's going to kind of sit on your bench and do nothing. So now that we have someone that sits on our bench and does nothing, we need someone that will interact with people on your bench that makes them do things. Okay. So let's save George Fuller. So we've now got 4 of our 11 cards. Okay, so George, get out of here. Get rid of the text, get rid of the type. And that costs 5. Next up, George Henry Durry. Champion. Look at this. That's a little bit annoying to get him centered where I want. So let's edit this guy a little bit. Rasterize the layout. I'm just going to grab the clone stamp and we're just going to build a new top. Alright, so like this is probably safer. You won't even notice. Shout out to Alan Cheshire for teaching me how to use the clone stamp, which I now use daily, pretty much. So we've got this awkward line here as well that I noticed when I first downloaded it, and it doesn't like. It looks really odd, so I've smoothed that over as well. The whole thing looks really sexy. We're now going to figure out what he does. So let's go put the title in. George Fuller. No, it's not George Fuller. That's George Henry Durry. My mistake. Henry Durry. Now it's slightly big, so I'm gonna take it down to 72. Readjust for that line. Okay. Spelling's correct. He's going to add, not this one, this one. So let's move this so it's next to the other thing. He's going to add a dice. Let's make him cost 4. This one. Let's go back to our thing, grab this, put this up into the corner. 75 by 75, there we go. He's going to cost 4, and what he's going to do is a warlord from your war room, caps because it's a keyword, and shuffle it into the deck. So there's going to be no discard pile. Whenever something is removed, it's going to be shuffled back into the deck. Because there's only 18 cards, recycling resources this way means that we'll get a lot more purchase phases rather than people owning 9 cards each and the game kind of ends. From your war room, let's put this where it's supposed to be, and shuffle it into the deck to roll that's 2. So let's make it so that we're spending X amount of money on troops, right? So let's say rather than picking, so like go to the next rung in the tug of war, we're picking how like an X amount of money to spend on troops. So because that means it's really, really strong early, because 6 might be a lot. But later on, when you're looking at 60, it's not going to be that much. So buying this guy early on, really strong, and he costs kind of in the middle, so it's probably like a lot. So we're going to make it just a little bit. Because let's say you roll 2 6s, you have 12, you spend 8, you get George, and then let's say you bin one of your guys that doesn't make you any money per turn to get 4. I need to figure out what our dollars, right? Choose a Warlord from your war room and shuffle it into the deck to spend $4 on troops. And there's another keyword, another keyword. Let's drop shadow this because his time makes it slightly difficult to read Warlord. So tug of war is in $1 currency. The increments are it's like n+2 or something. 1 3 5 7 9 was what I said initially, but we could go like 2n+2, which could be better. So save that for now. I'll come back to that. We want it to scale like probably exponentially. Probably. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But this is a good start. This is a really good early mid, like turn 2 kind of card. So we're gonna save this. So that was George Henry Durry. Okay. So we still haven't determined how many of each card there's gonna be yet. Let's just save that. Okay. Who's next? Henry Mosler. Okay, so let's get rid of the game text. Title, the art, bring in Henry Mosler. Okay. All right. Let's put his name in. Henry Mosler. That needs to be bigger. Let's go back to 85. Yep, that fits much better. So let's not do another 4. This one. We got one of these. 5, 3, 2. Do a 2. And this could be a deck manipulation effect, right? So if you have lots of money, but you don't want to just buy everything in the shop to access the next things, that could be really lame. So we might make it so. I know, I need to, yeah, it's there, okay. Discard Henry Mosler during your turn to shuffle the, what did we call we called it the shop, right? It's not very mechanical. It doesn't really fit our theme. Whatever. To shuffle the let's just like reset the shop. Save it. Alright. Henry Mosler. So that's a semi-push your luck card, right? Because you're like, I have 6 monies. I really want a George Henry Durry. Really want a Durry. But he hasn't shown up in the shop. I'm thinking we have maybe 3 cards available in the shop at any one time. You know, like if I buy this Henry Mosler, I get the 1 extra dice. So we're gonna build phases of a turn. Alright. So phase 1 is generate income from War Room, Warlords. So you basically get dice equal to the number of dice listed on the cards that you have in your War Room. And then you would roll all of that, and then that number you get is the amount of income you have to spend. Phase 2. Purchase Warlords from the shop, or purchase troops. And then like phase 3 is check for win conditions or something, right? Maybe there's more PvP in there somewhere, but that's what we've got for right now. We also want to add that each Warlord's effect triggers on purchase. So phase 3 might actually be resolve effects. Phase 3, resolve effects. So Warlords purchase are triggered on purchase unless they've specified otherwise. For example, Henry Musler. And then resolve those effects, and then we check win conditions. We might add effects on the troop track, so that when you reach, you might go, ooh, I can spend this money on buying dudes, or if I spend this money on buying troops, this segment of the troop track is gonna get me this reward, or whatever, right? It might be more dice, it might be a PvP effect, it could be whatever. We'll come back to that when we do the troop track. Yet again, this word that I hate, increments in the troop track have rewards for reaching them. Okay, so that's Henry Musler done. Let's look at who's next. Get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. John Goff Rand. Okay, I'm gonna need to add, to keep him centered, I have to extend the border upwards. Again, that's not a problem. It's coming from down here, right? So try and get this line that they've drawn not being super obvious. That looks pretty organic. Alright. Look at that. Perfect. You wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't even notice. Alright, so we then want to put his name in, which is... actually, it's 3 words, so we might use this smaller font. John Goff Ranger. Accidentally. Okay. Text box. What do we want John to do? So looking at the cards we've got so far, we've got someone that resets 1 card in the shop, someone that resets the whole shop, someone that makes 2 lots of money, someone that makes 1 lot of money, someone that removes Warlords from your opponent's war room, someone that you can bin your Warlords to spend $4 on troops. So we might make this guy cost 6. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay. Which means I need to add an extra dice. Yeah, he's not going to provide an income. This is going to be your big money spending dude, right? So let's put the 6 in. 75. It's gone over down here somewhere. It needs to be up here. Okay. Ah, there's a little white spot. I've sized that incorrectly somehow. Whoops. Put this into the corner. Bring it up to 75 by 75. There we go. Much better. So I want him to not make an income, but what I want him to do is text double the dollars spent on troops this turn, because he costs a lot to get. Alright, so let's say you have $20. You spend $6 on John Goffrand, and the $14 left over that you have could be $28 to spend on troops. This is your late game dude for blowing out the troop track, right? This is the guy that you spend your rerolls to try and find him in the shop, and there's going to be one. It's going to be exactly one John Goffrand, and it's probably going to be the game ender, and it's going to be the person that hits it at the right time to probably get it. Which is fine, right? Like, there's two different cards, of which there's going to be a couple copies that give you the ability to chase it. So it's not like, oh, he got the thing, he wins. It's like not that bad. Stop putting them on high, but whatever. Okay. So we've now got one. Let's show you what's about. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One behind me. 7 cards done. So that means there's 4 cards to go. Put this back. Our next person is Matthew Pratt. So I'll get rid of the text, get rid of the picture, get rid of the title. Come back down here, Matthew Pratt. So let's put you like this. So let's make another 6 cost. That's going to cost us 1. We're going to go type his name in. Okay, I'm going to go text box. So what's Matthew Pratt going to do? He's not going to provide an income. Or let's go reroll any unspent dice this turn. Right, so let's say I've rolled a 6 and 6 1s. I spend my 1 6 on Matthew Pratt. He comes in from the shop. And then I reroll all my 1s and quadruple my income. So that's pretty good. So this is like a real push your luck game. Like really, really push your luck game. Let's save that. Matthew Pratt. Alright, so now next one is Portrait of a Man. Now, Portrait of a Man was the only portrait that didn't tell you who's in it. It's literally titled Portrait of a Man. So this guy, that means we get to give it a name. What do we got? We have a John, we have a Henry, we have a Benjamin, Frank. Alright, so I'm gonna Google 18th century common first names. Abe. Yeah, Abe. It was alphabetical, so we got stuck with the first one. It's gonna be Abe Carter, which is a tie-in to 2 of my other games. Lord Carter is a character in Murders at Tillwoods Manor, and it's the manor owner in Spirits of Carter Mansion. So it was kind of always intended, but I didn't have a first name in mind. And Lord Carter doesn't have a first name, so it could be the same guy, we don't know. So this is Abe Carter, and what's Abe Carter going to do? Abe Carter is going to give us lots of money. How about that? He's going to have no purchase effect, but he's going to give us Yeah. Oops. Okay. There's the other one. No. 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 No, it's up here somewhere. There we go. Let's say he gives us 4 dice. Making such a mess. But it's allowed. Let's move down the... Yep. Just eyeball it. Alright. Save that. So that's another one of our one-obs. A carton. Okay. So we've got 2 people left, and I want them to be lower casting stuff. We have nothing that costs 1, which is acceptable. We have 2 things that cost 2, which I think is okay. We have 1 thing that costs 3. So let's make something else that costs 3. Okay, let's go away, Abe. This is Thomas Joseph Vivian. Whoops. Gonna calm down. His hair's too big. Maybe up a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna tidy his upper border up as well. Why is that not doing anything? There we go. Whoops, don't want that. I can't really tell, but this brown sort of extends a little bit. So it's that same kind of wash across that the other one has. It's kind of like this. It just kind of permeates up into the corner a little. Oh, fix that. Alright, it looks pretty natural. So he's not going to cost 6. He's not going to have all these dice either. So it's going to cost 3. I nailed it. Okay, so let's put his name in. His name is, let's use the smaller font. Thomas Joseph Vivian. Spelled that right? Yeah, just fits. Perfect. Okay, so what's he gonna do? I want it to be a discard effect. Let's make it a discard effect. So it could be interesting. That could be interesting. Alright, so for each hang on, so discard Thomas Joseph Vivian to game. $1 for each warlord. Probably $2. $2 for each warlord that left your war room this turn to spend on troops. It's a comma. Okay. So when we discard stuff with our George Henry Durry, when we discard our Henry Mosler, we can then discard Thomas Joseph Vivian to gain $2 to spend on troops for each warlord that we got rid of. It's kind of encouraging us to be super greedy, and I think the aim of this game is to be super greedy. So we're going to save this. Thomas Joseph Vivian. It's going to take a second. There we go. Okay. Let's come back. All right. we're up to our last person, and we have to figure out how many of each card we want, and we want to figure out how to do the track. I guess so. William Page is our last guy. That fits nicely. So, oops, that's got to be down here. Okay, so turn that off. And William Page. Do we want William Page to cost 3? That means we'll have 3 things that cost 3, or do we want to make it cost 2? So it's bottleneck to the bottom. We have 1 thing that costs 4 at the moment. 2 things that cost 5, 3 things that cost 6. So I'm thinking they're all going to be singletons. So maybe make this guy cost 2. Make this guy cost 2. No. This one? Yep, cost 2. So what's William Page gonna do? What is William Page gonna do? We are pretty low on things that make currency. So let's make him make a currency. This one, good stuff. The one times rolled by Page separate. Its budget can only be spent on troops, which is kind of a downside if you roll low and you don't have enough to meet the next tier. So it's provisional, and I think that works pretty well. Okay, so save as William Page. Save the project file. We now have all of our cards. We now need to figure out how we're going to build the track. Now, lately when I've been building games, I've just been making a whole A4 thing and then putting whatever I want on it. I'll show you an example, which is, this is Punts and Pipes, a print and play that I made the other day. It's kind of whatever, but I just made a whole A4 board for it. And that's where the tiles go. So I could do something similar to that and make something huge, but it's probably unnecessary because it's supposed to be a small game. If I could make something that is a 4-way folding board, that would probably be better. Just for now, I'm going to be making it an A4 page because this will be a print and play and all the sheets are made in A4s. So I can close that then. I can close that then. Alright, so this is fine. So let's make a new international paper A4. So this is now the track that we're going to be working with, and I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. Ideally, I would commission an artist to draw like trenches or something that would make the lines. But we want to figure out how many increments we want. And if we're using n+2, I think we said earlier we wanted like 60 to be at the top end. So n+2, like to get to 60 is like 30 on each side, and then add 1 in the center, which doesn't really work. So we do 2n+2. So the first one is 4. Then it's having a day. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus 2 is 4. That's our first one. The second one is 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2 is 6, and it should be 8 after that from memory. Yeah, it's 6 plus 2 is 8. And then 4. This is really not going the way that I wanted it to. So unless if n is actually like not 1, doesn't go up by 1, because otherwise this is like not going to scale up the way that I want. I probably want it to be something like 20, 32 is this, and then we go like 52. 84 is huge. You could probably split that up a little bit so it's not quite as big. So like this is 18. So that goes up by 4, goes up by 4, goes up by 6, goes up by 6, right? Goes up by 8, goes up by 8. What did I do? So this becomes 32. Goes up by 8, 40. Goes up by 10, goes up by 10. That's much better. That lands us exactly where we want. So it goes up by 4, goes up by 4, goes up by 6, goes up by 6, goes up by 8, goes up by 8, goes up by 10, goes up by 10. Each bracket scales slightly bigger as it goes along. And we want this on both sides, we want an even one in the middle. So that's a 1 in the middle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19 spots. Okay, so we now need to split it in half. What's the bottom? Should be able to find the halfway point, but it should lock to it here. And that's where exactly? 1754. So I'm just going to use a calculator. So how big do I want each segment to be? So 54. Yeah, that's a really odd number. Okay, 1754 times 2, 3,500. Divide that by 19. That means we can make slices as big as 184. So let's just do slices of 180 pixels, right? So get rid of this, probably. Get rid of this. So we're going to go new guide, horizontal. The whole thing's going to be horizontal. Let's go 180. New guide, 360. And that's really small. 540. New guide. Whoops. 720. Just making sure that I'm doing it correctly. Here's 900. New guide. 900. And we get 1080. So that's probably the first half, right? Okay, so then 1080 is 1260. 1260, 1440. Okay, 1440. 1620. 1800. 1980. 2160. 2340. It's probably an easier way to do this, but I don't know it. 2520. Okay, 2520. 2700. I know this is really entertaining. I think we get one more out of that. 3420. 3420. So these are our slices. I'm just gonna make the whole thing. One. It's a little bit harder to see in the video The very second one is slightly darker, but I'm going to draw a line over it in a second, which is going to be 3 pixels wide. In white, apparently, because I'm a moron. It needs to be black. There you go, you can kind of see the shadow of it if you're looking really closely. So these are going to be our battlefield, basically. And also, this is like just a prototype, proof of concepts that I made during this video. There's like zero forethought that came with this project. The idea is just to make something that is playable, gets to the table, uses the historical art from the Smithsonian release, and can be done in the duration of this video, which is currently 1 hour 20, which is pretty good for building a whole thing. So clear the guides and don't hate myself. This is fantastic. This is the bones for our segments. We get a free segment at the bottom, which would probably be better at the top, but that's fine for now. So we bring up our thing, right? So we start at 60 at the top. 60. Let's put the costs on the left. Like this. And it was 50, 40. That's not going to work. Okay, let's do a new one every time. 50. 40. Actually, I want it facing outwards, so I actually want it down like this. And then I'll put it upside down for the top half. Okay, it was then 32. I'm just going to put this over here. 32. I'm not using a guide, and I should be, but I'm getting to the point where I'm rushing this last little bit because it's not going to look sexy no matter what I do. Because this is one of the components that you would get art for, right? This is the central board of the game. 12. 8. 4. Okay, so now I can just like run it back, right? Rather than typing in them unique, just use Control J, which copies a layer. And just move the duplicates over. Okay, so my maths was correct. It fits evenly. So you'll start in this bottom one. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer, which is just the borders. But then I'm going to color everything in. There's really, really vibrant colors for whatever reason. So this is where you start. And then we're going to have a blue scale for one side and a red scale for the other side. This is supposed to be upside down. I really didn't do that. Let's do that quickly. And there's a really cheeky way to do this. I'm going to turn these all into a smart object. I'm then going to free transform. Place. Oh, that was so incorrect. I need to rotate twice. That didn't work either. I am not the genius I prescribed to be. each one of them individually needs to be rotated. Alright, it's too hard. I was trying to be too fancy. It's too hard. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is just grab the color palette, slowly move the wheel up until I get into deep blue. It's probably a bit too close, but so from a distance, you're going to see that it's going to very obviously slide up towards the deep blue. And what I might do is make it darker rather, because it's like, oops. Make it darker. Yeah, come back to the bucket. What have I done? I made a mistake. Bucket. There we go. And then like this for the last one. That looks alright. It's not too horrible. And then you'd use like a paperclip. You'd slide a paperclip into the sheet and you'd move it up and down based on where you've got. Alright, so come back to that green. Let's go like yellowy colour. Gold maybe. Yeah, that looks alright. I'm gonna have to blitz through yellow pretty quickly because I need to get to orange. I'm gonna bunch it up easier in orange. Maybe I did blast through it too quickly. It's like basically the same. Okay, let's redo that one. Slightly better. It just needs to look different than the one next to it. I'll probably fit another one in here before I go and change the. Come right down to the bottom. Neat. And then we put it up into the corner. Kablam! We have a really colourful looking track, right? So save as. Let's put it in here for now. Troop. Oops. Track. Yep. And I'm going to save the document as well. Just for now. Alright, so. Now that we've done that, if you remember, we said that the troop track would have rewards for reaching them, which is what we need to implement now. So we're going to come back to this, text. So, first thing, let's do it at every 3, so that's 12, 32, 50. No, I don't like that. Maybe every second one. So, 8, we're going to go gain 1 dice. Should probably also be in blank actually. Gain 1, and I need to go back to my art resources. Grab a dice. Probably don't need a 1. Just needs to go down to 180. Close enough. Come on, no. Okay, so let's copy this and put this on the other 8. So if you're the red player, you only gain the advantages of being on the red half of the map. If you're the blue player, you get nothing. And the idea is to get to your end of the track. And in theory, it's probably pretty impossible. The game could go on infinitely. But we'll see. It's supposed to be push your luck. And if you get really lucky, you should be able to run away with the game towards the end. So I think it's entirely possible that you could stalemate for a long time while you're just waiting for that one thing. But you can also just like roll 60 if you have 10 dice. So we'll see. We'll see. Playtesting is where we will find out if this game's terrible or not. let's go here. Add the top card of the deck to your war room. He's got a free dude. Straight up, free dude. Needs to be, yeah. I'm going to copy that and put this down here on 32. That's like big news, right? I don't think we put rewards for 40, 50, or 60 because you're already like almost won, right? Or should they be the things that help you close out the game? Or something. Or something. So at 40, let's put it at 40. So let's go, you may discard Warlords to spend to buy troops equal to their cost. Now that's humongous. If you remember, I'll bring it up in a second. Now, portraits, character, back over here. Thomas Joseph Vivian, who says, discard this guy to gain $2 for each warlord that left your war in this turn to spend on troops. Now, you hit 40, you go, oh, I discard everything. I now have that guy, that gives me $1 billion. You win the game basically instantly. So let's put that on 50 instead. And that will be like, that's the extra rung in the ladder. You can kind of shoot you up there if you have some big stuff. A little combo if you have that one card or whatever. Which isn't terrible. And we now need something for the 18. Which should be Warlords cost one less. So now I need to explain how this section works. So from 18 plus, everything works forever. This is a one-time thing. So let's maybe edit this. And they can trigger multiple times too. That's kind of rough. So maybe let's don't do that. They should be all passive effects, right? Let's delete that for now. Let's redo this one and let's make it a passive effect so that once you reach a threshold, you earn all of the things below it as passive effects. I don't want it to be that big. You may discard a dice to reset the shop. Any number of times that you want, and it's probably going to be not worth it most of the time. Alright, this is acceptable. Come on, save. Computer's really taking a beating at the moment. Save as, and we need to override this. Yes, I would very much. Okay, so game's done. I just need to make the rulebook part of it now. It's also going to be an A4 page. I'm not going to do any, I usually do like a fancy background or something. I'm not going to bother this time. I don't have a name for the game yet. It's probably going to be something with Warlords in the title. Maybe a location. A lot of the art is American. So let's pick an American place, like town names. I'm just gonna Googling American town names. Lebanon. There's 35 Lebanons in the US, according to this thing. Washington. Ooh, I like that. Warlords of Washington. Washington is the most common suburb name in the United States, according to my Google search I just performed. And it has that officiary kind of whatever. Anyway, so first things first, let's make a smaller font like this. It is 2 players, it's 20 to 30 minutes. That should be this. I'm just gonna say ages 14 plus. Right, probably younger, but this is me being really safe. We're then going to pick a title size. This I'm going to do set up first. Now, please don't criticize me. My rulebook writing skills are garbage. This is just me writing down all the notes that we've got so far about the game. Put this over onto the screen. Start at the start. So, set up. Shuffle all of the Warlord cards and place them face down in our pile in the center. Oops. In the center of the table. This is the deck. This is the shop deck. I know I refer to it like differently a few times, but it's whatever. Again, prototype, please don't hate me. This is the shop deck. Place the troop track, that super colorful board, next to it, and affix a paper clip to the central green section along one edge. Cool. We haven't listed our components, so place all of the game's dice to one side. So let's fix that. Let's do a quick components list. Also, get this all into one side of the page. I might split this in half and just quickly redo this. Cool. Cool. All right. So components. So it's 18 character cards called Warlords. Space there. It's one central track, the troop track. It is, how many dice do we want? Well, probably 10. Probably 10. Probably 14. Again, playtesting. 14 D6. Alright, that's the setup. Okay. Gameplay. Yes, that is how you spell gameplay. Game pally, as in paladin. Okay, so gameplay. A starting player. This can be decided by who the group. Oh, it's between 2 players. The most American of the 2 players. Sucked in anyone that's ever going to argue about this. I'm Australian, so Ooh, in the setup spot, we missed something. We did. Each player receives 1 Frank Duveneck. Probably spelled that wrong. That is placed face up in front of them, starting a row. This row is called the War Room. Okay, let's grab the gameplay and that, move it down. I'm genuinely curious to find out how you would determine who is the most American. Okay, now that we have a starting player, we need to put in the phases of a turn. On a player's turn, they complete actions in the following, no, it's not enough space, in the following phases. Phase 1. Generate income from Warlords in the War Room. This is done by rolling dice equal to the dice icons in the lower right corner of each of your Warlord cards. Phase 2. Spend the budget earned from the dice in phase 1 on Warlords. I forgot to set up the shop, by the way. We're like way ahead of that. From the shop, or move the troop track up a stage by paying the... I also need to determine who's red and who's blue. Okay, I'll just go back and do that. Move the troop track up a stage by paying the amount, it's a new line, the amount on the side of the next stage towards your color. So, this is interesting because if you're blue, I'm red, and it's in blue territory, let's say it's in 14 blue, I spend, what is it, 8? Sorry, it's on 12 blue. I have to spend 8 to move it to 8. You have to spend 24 to move it to the next thing. Moving it back to the center for the other person is going to be really, really easy. So you really have to generate 1 million income in one turn in that case. Which is going to be really bad. I think that means the game is going to be unwinnable. So we need either make double that amount of income or make an easier way to move up and down. So instead of me having to buy all the increments down, if I'm in your territory, I just start from 0 every single time. But that still means that I have to have like 150 just for the last 3, which is a bit crazy. So maybe it's just the amount of money that you can spend on troops all at once from 0. And it's the highest amount of money you were able to spend. So move the troop track up stages towards your color from the center equal to the amount of money you spend. Slightly better. But I'm going to pause that there. I'm also running out of space. Just grab that and gameplay and move it down. Back to setup. Assign red or blue to each player Then from the top of the shop deck, play 3 cards face up in a row in the center. Okay, yes, that. Let's move this up a little bit. And it fits on one side. How nice. Okay, so we're on phase 3 gameplay on the other side. Phase 3. Phase 3 is resolve effects. When purchasing a Warlord, unless if it has a discard effect, you activate its ability immediately. Winning the game. This one. When the player reaches the 60 mark on the troop track, they win the game. Okay, now I'm going to quickly come back and look through this to see if there's anything I've missed. So got the track, got the 2 players, got the outcomes, got the dollar increments, dice dips make money. This is all done. This is all done. This is all done. Build a tableau using Warlords. Yep. Yep. Type of wars and dollars. I changed that, but whatever. As below. Trigger on purchase. Have rewards for reaching them. I didn't put in the troop track rewards, so I might put that, how that works, and then move winning the game. So let's slide this down, and then let's put the troop track. If the paperclip is resting on your color half of the troop track, you have all of the passive bonuses it gives from each tier. This is gonna make no sense. Between the tier you are on and the center. Whatever. Winning the game. Winning the player reaches. Alright. I'm also like speed running designing a game, right? Like, I'm trying to really get it in under the 2-hour mark. Just so that you're not watching this whole thing and you're like, I hate this so much, please just show me the finished thing. Like, you know, when you're watching something on YouTube and you're like, this is me making a thing, and you're like, right, just I want to see what the final product is. Nope, that's too big. I want this one. A game designed by Keith Franks. That's me, this guy. So I'll give you a look at what the whole thing looks like. It's just a mess of words. It's not very sexy to look at. Rule booklet. Save it as a Photoshop. In fact, I have no idea where that ended up. Okay, it's with the cards. That's fine. Paste it here. Okay, so rule booklet and the track. Let's make a new folder for. So now we're making the print and play file. So we've got the track, we've got the rule booklet done. Now I just need to, and this is the easiest part, view guide. So 75. It's just have to do another one, which is 2475. I know it looks like it's right on the line, but it makes a difference. And then I need 3375 in horizontal. 3375, cool. So this is 9 cards. And this is where we're going to pick up the distribution of all of our things, right? So we have 11 different people and they need to show up on 2 of these pages, which will make it a 4-page print and play. So the first thing we do is we know we have Frank. We know we have a bunch of Frank, right? So we're going to grab, so we need at least 2, 1 for each player, and I kind of want 3 in the shop. So we're going to go 5 Franks. And then what's the other cheap guy? Henry Mosler. So let's go 3 Henry Moslers. Okay. And what's the other logo? Benjamin West, William Page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means there's 4. So which means there's 5. So I get 3 of one and 2 of the other. So we're gonna go 2 Benjamin West. Okay, so William Page, and then he's gonna get 2 on page 2. So go like this. We go save as, and we save it as page 1, and it's a Photoshop document. You grab this whole thing and just hide it. Bring William Page. You want 2 more William Pages. Make sure that's right in the corner. It's not. Snap 2. No, snap is over. Bloody hell. Yeah, whatever. It's being a pain. Okay, it looks fine. And then there's another one of that. Okay, and then we have 2 Benjamin West. And then we have 1 of everybody else. So 1 Eastman Johnson. 1 Portrait of a Man, Abe Carter. 1 George Fuller. 1 George Henry Durry. And our last guy, Matthew Pratt. Now I think I've made a mistake here. Check. Okay, so I have no Thomas Joseph Vivian in here. But I think I have everyone else. I think I have everyone else. So maybe it's not an 18 card game. This is fine. Save as page 2. Yeah. And then let's hide all of these guys. So I want 2 of this guy. I think I want to go an extra Abe Carter because I feel like there's just not enough dice to get in this shop, right? So the second one of that would help. And let's go another Eastman Johnson as well. And again, in playtesting, you can basically be like, well, you know, I'll change whatever I want. I'll change whatever I want. Page 3, all right. Now we get through the fun thing where we go automate, PDF presentation, browse, open up all of this. I need notes, save, and then this will make our print and play files. Portraits is what I call this. PNP, and then it's Warlords at Washington, I think. save. I don't need that. This is probably fine. So then this smashes all of the different Photoshop documents together to make one PDF file. And that's it, that's the game. This was me designing a game in under 2 hours from start to finish, ready to test as a pretty sexy looking prototype. 5 minutes left on the clock. So basically, I want to try and start doing more of these where in advance I'll grab all the art files that I'm going to use. Because I've done this a few times. Treasure the Paper Fox was done this way, for example, where I found this really cool origami stock art. I go, okay, this is all the characters that I have, these are all the creatures that I'm going to use. Put them all into the thing. I found stock art for paper, different paper samples, turn the paper samples into the card template, build the cards, and then go, okay, this is a set collecting game because I have all these different cool sets of animals and stuff like that, and then built it that way. So I'm probably going to try and do another couple of videos in this same way. I'll grab a bunch of stock art from somewhere, I'll put it together, I'll show you how I'm building everything, and then we'll build a prototype and put the P&P at the end. If you think the game is interesting, if you actually want to play it, I'm going to attach a link to the print and play at the bottom. Otherwise, you can find the files on my Patreon where I just dump everything. You'll probably find it for free on there. And then, yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, please ask comments in the bottom below. I know I like zoom right through some things. I'm happy to help you guys understand anything that I missed, challenge design decisions that I made, and this gives you an idea on the kind of process I'm going through, and I'm trying to figure out what everything's going to be. But that's it. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video so other people can see it. And then I get a really fuzzy feeling inside that you enjoyed my work. So, thanks.